Why is Huskie so polarizing? Polarized. Divide or cause to divide into two sharply contrasting groups or sets of opinions or beliefs. To put in simple terms, why do you love or hate Huskii?
Racking clothes from David Jones. I cop a sesh, I take it home.
Huskie's this artist that is often laid back but has these hard hitting statements, which creates this easy listening music with a lot of substance to it.
She keeps saying that she hate me, later in the day she drunk and raped my phone.
It's something that you don't necessarily have to be the smartest or the heaviest lyrical head to understand everything Huskii is saying, yet if you are one of those music heads, you've got a lot more to digest. It's kind of like a kid's film. Watching a kid's film as a kid, you know, it's great, it's entertaining, but watching a kid's film as an adult, you kind of see the deeper meaning and message behind certain things.
We on the race to the money, but we ain't slowing down. The slowest brown, we get it, then overflow it down.
And Huskii normally does this in a very self-reflective style, you know, a way that looks at himself in the mirror and is able to praise and both criticize himself in the same breath. He's able to capture his emotions through his lyrics.
Sleeves to try to hide the cuts, I'm high as fuck. I don't know why I try and write this stuff.
Which is difficult enough for some people if you was just writing that down normally, let alone being able to put that in a verse with structure to it and make it sound good at the same time. One thing that you often get at a very grassroots level of rap is a lot of these young MCs in their bedrooms, you know, people writing their verses, expressing how they feel. And you know what? That's a good thing. I'm not going to mock that in any way, shape or form. I think that's an amazing thing. But where you get this flooded level of people that are just starting out, most of the time when people send me their freestyles or their first ever tracks, it's normally people talking about how they feel. And more times than not, people just don't manage to draw me in as a listener. Yes, they're probably talking about very personal things and it probably means a lot to them. And that's great. Again, it's fantastic. But me as a listener, I don't want to listen to it if I don't think it's good. Huskii has this ability to have most of the people that listen to him really enjoy his shit. Nerve, an artist that's worked with Huskii very closely, if not at least very affiliated with each other, and Nerve says it himself in this interview best.
And like everything he says the most with the least, which is like a big thing for me.
Being able to say the most with the least. And you know, I feel like that's a very, very powerful statement. Being able to give listeners and fans so much to digest and so much to take in, whilst packaging that in something so easily accessible. Or whether it's a studio finished track or just a freestyle, we know Huskii has that talent.
Quit my job and went back to nothing. Sold my soul for this sack I'm puffing.
Being able to market himself with Brain Numb and 201, and then speaking of 201, that's a whole nother story in itself.
201.
Huskii often tags as an Adlib 201, and what does 201 mean? To my knowledge, 201 days before his birthday, he told himself that, you know, he was sick of just being in a rut, just sick of being fucked, you know, like just not getting anywhere. And he told himself, you know, my birthday is in 201 days time. If I don't fix up my life, if I don't make it through music, if I don't, you know, make something of myself, I'm gonna commit suicide. Now, I'm not here to romanticize depression or suicide or anything like that, but that is a bit of a crazy story, you must admit. For the human mind to think, you know what, I'm going to put a time limit on the rest of my life if I don't achieve my goals by this time frame. I feel like that is literally on the borderline of insane. But since it's paid off, Huskii's, you know, seen as an absolute icon because of it. And it's a very, very interesting story for him to tell. Because again, it says so much in so little. If you don't know about the meaning of 201, then you just hear him say 201. It's not like he tells that story each and every time he says it. And that plays into the whole saying a lot with the least. He says 201 and it just reminds you of pretty much a whole segment of his life. And so if we look at Huskii's good friend Chillin' It, I mean, Chillin' It, love Chillin' It. I've openly said this before, and this is not me hating on Chillin' It in any way, shape or form, but this is why I feel like people represent 201 as much, if not more, than Chillin' It representing 420. You know, when you think of 420, oftentimes you think of Chillin' It because Chillin' It is constantly representing 420 as a brand, but 420 doesn't belong to him. I believe, and I could be wrong because there's a lot of different things written up online, but my understanding of 420 is there was a hippie group in America decades ago, I'm not going to put a time frame on it, that used to meet up at 4:20 every day to smoke weed, and that's just kind of become a thing. Like, 420 is not the chemical compound for marijuana, it's not a certain substance or how many fucking atoms are in it. I don't know, bro. You know, but that's what 420 represents. It represents smoking weed, but that's not chilling its thing. 201 is Huski's thing. You can't say 201 and say it's affiliated with anything else but Husky. And so the fact that it has such a personal connection to him and that's what he represents, I feel like that's why you either are on board with it or you just don't care for it. Again, coming back to that polarizing thing, it causes two different groups. You've either got one group that absolutely idolize 201 and will take that to their fucking grave, because Huskii does have this cult following of whatever Huskii says, Huskii goes. That doesn't make sense, but if Huskii says jump, they say how high. You get my point. Or you get this other group that just don't resonate with that, and so they don't really care much for it. Which is fine, because, I mean, in this industry, you just can't please everyone anyway. Regardless, the 201 thing has a lot of inspiration in its story alone. You know, from being at the bottom of the barrel, feeling that you have nothing less, than being able to say, look, I need to make a change. Now, I don't think Huskii's encouraging people to go and commit suicide if they don't fix themselves up. Let me just make it clear. Huskii does not believe that in any way, shape, or form. Huskii's also said himself that glorifying drugs shouldn't be a thing. Like, if you're not addicted to something, don't start it. If you're not on anything, don't think it's cool to start doing that shit. He says openly himself, leave that shit out.
And I'm telling you right now, there's no good ending to being on drugs. There's no happy ending except for you getting off it and getting clean. And even that is gonna stay with you for the rest of your life. So don't fucking try it if you haven't tried it. Don't start it. Don't start it and think I can stop when I want to. There's no happy ending, just fuck drugs. Look at all the people out here killing it. They're not on drugs.
He's only talking about in his music because he's telling his story. The same way I'm sure that you've got certain people that do drill music that are talking about stabbings and shootings and they're telling their story, but they're not necessarily encouraging youngers to go and do it themselves. You know, that age-old debate in hip-hop of, is hip-hop a good influence on the younger generation? Well, I grew up with it and I think I've turned out all right. You know, hip-hop is all that some people have got. So for some people, when they're listening to Huskii's music, sometimes that is all they've got. And when Huskii's telling a story that relates to them, that mirrors what's going on in their life as well, of course that's going to be inspiring to certain people.
Then I get suicidal on my own, I go back and do the same thing.
You know, from Huskii talking about drug addiction to his upbringing to his fatherhood, you know, he's talking about the struggles that he's going through in his life as a young man. And speaking of fatherhood, it's something that he's been talking about more and more recently since the birth of his baby daughter. And I feel like that's going to be a reoccurring theme with his music in the future.
My daughter only in Gucci now when we running round.
And it's something that I'm definitely interested in hearing from Huskii as he progresses through his career. I want to hear him talk about fatherhood more so than some of the things that he has been. Not to say that what he has been talking about is bad, but I want to hear the music mature and progress with him as he matures and grows through life. I believe that's what every artist should do, but Huskii has such an interesting story that me as a listener, I care about what happens to Huskii. I care about how he's doing, and I want to hear that reflected through his music. I mean, Dust to Dust is still one of my top 3 tracks in Australia. Hardest Oz track I've heard. Hardest track I have heard in 2018. And so that links back to my original question. Why is Huskii so polarizing? I believe you love him because you connect with him as a human being. I haven't gone through drug addiction. I haven't had the worst upbringing in the world. Yeah, given it hasn't been great, but it hasn't been the worst either. But I still connect with Huskii and the struggles that he goes through on an emotional and human level. And I think some people dislike him because they look at him on a surface level on what he talks about, which is, again, fair enough. You can't please everyone. And with how intense Huskii's subject matters can be, talking about suicide or rehab or, you know, being stabbed in the back from close people young growing up, you know, that's a lot for some people to take in, and sometimes their itty-bitty brains can't comprehend that.
Say it on tracks, she doesn't listen. Blade in my back and they say that I'm fishing. I'm caught on the hook and the bait was addiction. I'm stuck in these motherfuckers, never listen.
And that's fine. You don't always have to live that life to understand somebody else's. There's a difference between understanding and relating. I don't necessarily relate to what everything Huskii says, but I can understand most of what he talks about for the simple fact of he conveys it in such a clear way. And so whether you love him or you hate him, you can't help but just watch what he's doing, and it's so unique. I challenge anyone watching this video to compare him to any other artist, and I guarantee you're going to have people arguing with you. Because in my opinion, me, Chazza, the skinny legend, I don't believe there is anyone from the UK, the US, Australia, worldwide that is anything like Husky. But either way, guys, let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Yeah, let me know if you want to hear and see more videos like this. I've kind of formatted this in a slightly different way to some of my usual artist breakdowns, but yeah, let me know what you think. And yeah, appreciate you guys for watching, and I'll talk to you, man, later.